Oh boy, time to take my first tentative steps into the world of YouTube reviewing after months of planning and getting the appropriate setup for the job. In other words, time to rush in headfirst with no budget, forethought, or proper recording equipment. This is going to be fun. Anyway, S.T.A.L.K.E.R Pripyat is a game about being Russian, which, to my understanding, consists of killing and looting the dead bodies of mutants and other Russians in a post-apocalyptic war zone in search of meat, vodka, and magical artifacts of mysterious origin. Naturally, Russian Life Simulator is a survival FPS game set in Pripyat, the pinnacle of the Russian survival experience. Well, the game isn't all that heavy on survival, it's more of a footnote to the open-world exploration and tactical gunplay heart of the game, essentially requiring you to keep the important things on you like sausage, hard liquor, and various performance-enhancing drugs. Though the enemies are well designed to frighten, and there's something visceral and terrifying about waiting at the top of a staircase with your shotgun ready to greet a wandering pack of mutated dogs, the game is also both breathtaking and incredibly profitable to explore. The game's segmented open world, though fairly small, is chock full of hidden stashes of weapons, ammunition, and other supplies, as well as the aforementioned magical artifacts, which are found smack dab in the middle of dangerous anomalies such as fire anomalies that'll singe your eyebrows, armor, and limbs off in that order the closer you get to them. So it's a very dangerous world and you need food to survive, but other than that, you're not there for survival. So, what are you there for then? Well, your name is Major Alexander Degtyarev, and you've been sent in to examine some crashed high-tech military helicopters that went down dangerously close to the old Chernobyl nuclear reactor. Naturally, instead of sending in a team of actual military personnel, the glorious motherland government sends in a single soldier that contracts radiation sickness before his Geiger counter goes off. Of course, difficulty curve is just as much an alien concept to the developers of Stalker Call of Duty Ghosts as to Bethesda Softworks. But instead of starting off easy and staying easy like Fallout 3 or New Vegas, this game starts off difficult and becomes fairly easy after around 8 hours of play. Now, part of that starting difficulty comes entirely from the fact that what is supposed to be your main objective, to examine the helicopter crash sites, is nigh on impossible for a newer player. But you won't figure that out until you foolishly venture into at least 2 of them and find out the hard way that the game doesn't like to flat out tell you things regardless of how important they are. Such as the fact that it's probably not the best idea to go for the helicopters right off the bat, and that if you're going to spend your money on anything, it needs to be radiation meds. Yeah, this game isn't exactly user-friendly. Okay, so instead of heading to a nearby crash site, you're supposed to talk to some fellow stalkers or dwellers of the wasteland surrounding Pripyat and get directions to the city of S.T.A.L.K.E.R. There you can get some jobs that are doable early on in the game. Or if it's your second time around and you know where some of these dangerous anomalies I mentioned earlier are, you could go to one quick save and throw yourself into it over and over again until you've either collected a few of the extremely valuable artifacts that can be found within, or created a pile of your own corpses big enough to declare yourself King of Corpse Mountain. Interesting thing is, after you've collected a good amount of money from your odd jobs within S.T.A.L.K.E.R and preferably found some of the tools required to upgrade your weapons, you can buy yourself a custom weapon, and as soon as that's ready, you've essentially won the game. Given a few upgrades, the starting armor is easily good enough to last you for the entire game, and for a mere 20,000 quickly acquired Ruski bucks, you can get an assault rifle that, once again given upgrades, can easily last you the entire game. After that, the world really opens up, exploration becomes easier, and the money starts pouring in. You can finally investigate some of the nearby crashed helicopters, and for a bit of money, you can travel to the next area and see some of the better quests the game has to offer. Of course, better quests doesn't say all that much, as the game actually has excellent quest design the whole way through. Everything about the quests in this game is so well thought through and deliberate, and if you're clever enough you can pick up on a lot of the interesting and complex world of Stalker Call of Putin. In fact, the entire game seems to have quite a lot of thought put into it. Though it may not be the most graphically or stylistically impressive game in the world, the aesthetic of the world works perfectly to paint a picture of where you are and how quickly you can die if you let your guard down. The excellent soundtrack by Alexei Omelchuk and ambient background noise are also very well designed, with some howling and mutated creature noises making me paranoid during my long midnight treks through Pripyat, and the music only helped to solidify this feeling. Now, as much as I adore this game, it has its fair share of problems. Having been released in 2010, it doesn't seem to have been prepared for the future of PC gaming that we call 2016, as on my late 2015 PC I encountered frequent stuttering and some crashing, though luckily I was able to fix the majority of the crashes by fiddling with settings and disabling Steam Overlay, and oftentimes I'm too immersed to notice the stuttering. But even then, after I managed to get the game playing somewhat stably, the mouse controls are awkward and floaty in a sense, and though it didn't bother me that much, I know people who have had the experience ruined for them by this, so be wary. The character movement can sometimes be a tad janky as well, which has not only killed my character in odd situations from time to time, but also doesn't help the already largely broken stealth system. One of my best examples is with stairs. I actually managed to kill my character twice trying to walk up a staircase by getting stuck and dying on the slightly off-kilter staircase of a broken down building. Another thing, there was one particular enemy, the mutant dwarf, that brought the flow of the normally extremely engaging combat to a screeching halt. Sure, the short bugger was still a tense fight because I had no idea how powerful it would be, but the ability to freeze me in my place or block all of my bullets at any point just made fighting two of them at once for one particular mutant hunting mission a bit tedious. So, about that stealth system I mentioned earlier. Now, you'd think that a game that's largely about ammunition conservation and doing whatever it takes to not die, at least for the first portion of it, would come equipped with an at least partially functional stealth system. But no. Not only is sneaking up on somebody without being detected one of the most painfully slow experiences in the world, even if you can manage to get behind them, your only option is to shoot them in the back of the head with a silenced weapon. If it kills them, congrats, save and move on to another target. But if it doesn't kill in one hit, every gun owner within a 10-mile radius is alerted and your face has become engraved into their minds. Of course, the mere thought of using a knife in Santa Christmas of Pain is laughable, because apparently the developers decided that knives are harder to use than they look. You can swing and slash and stab at the back of an unsuspecting mutant or stalker all you want, but even if you can manage to hit with the game's dreadfully bad melee hit detection, it will never, no matter how many gods you pray to or how much you believe in the magic of Thanksgiving, kill in one hit. If you're lucky, you might be able to kill with 2 quick stabs on a weaker enemy, but like I said before, you took 2 shots at it, so of course, everybody already knows where you are. One last problem I had with the game was that a lot of the missions you're given are too open-ended. There are multiple missions where you're told to find people and kill or talk to them, but you're given no clue whatsoever of where they may be hiding, so either you play hide-and-go-seek for 3 hours, traversing Pripyat looking for Russian voice actor number 8, collecting whatever artifacts you may find along the way, which, surprisingly enough, isn't the least enjoyable experience in the world, just because of how fun the world is to explore. Or you can go do some other more structured missions until you accidentally happen upon the people you're supposed to be talking to and or killing and proceed to do so. The open missions are more of a nitpick than anything else. The wide open unstructured style the game has with a lot of its missions can actually lead to some of those beloved natural sandbox moments, where you find a group of bandits digging through an old building, so you decide to stick to the shadows and follow them until they get slaughtered by invisible blood-sucking mutants, after which you promptly turn and book it for the nearest friendly armed settlement. This is a game abandoned by the public, much like the city of Pripyat itself. Though it may not be the safest or most stable experience in the world, it's definitely something I'd recommend. The occasional bland and nonsensical moments do nothing to outweigh the feeling of exploring such an interesting, rich world. Hell, you'll probably be very interested in what you find.